You are listening to Small Business Straight Talk with your host, Amber De La Garza. Amber is a sought-after coach, trainer, speaker, and writer who gives small business owners the straight talk on productivity, time management, business systems, leading your teams, strategic decision-making, and mindset. No BS, fluff, or overused jargon. Just actionable strategies to get results and succeed in business. And here is your host, Amber De La Garza, the productivity specialist.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to the Small Business Straight Talk podcast. Today is episode 403, Good Busy versus Toxic Busy, the foundation of success. If you're a small business owner who wants to learn effective business strategies, improve time management, and elevate productivity to maximize profits, reduce stress, and make time for what matters most, then you're in the right place, and I'm so glad you've joined me. A few weeks ago in episode 398, I asked you to get clear on what success looks like for you, both personally and in your business. If you haven't yet listened to that episode, I want you to hit pause and go back and listen to that episode first, episode 398. Then come back to this one, because this episode is a result of continuing that conversation or wanting to continue that conversation, because through the work of helping business owners answer that question, what is your vision of success, both personally and in your business, I've discovered something fascinating. Now, while everyone's vision of success is different, and it should be, there's one thing that consistently shows up as foundational to actually achieving that vision. And stick around, because it has nothing to do with working harder or doing more. Today, I'm sharing what that distinction is, why most of us live in a mix of both sides, and the warning signs that tell you which side you're operating from. This insight could change everything about how you approach building your business. Now, before we jump into today's episode, I want to invite you to take my Next Level Business Owner quiz. What is more productive than investing 3 short minutes to find out what is most holding you back from taking your business to the next level? Once you uncover what's holding you back, you will get a customized, personalized playlist that address those specific challenges. Not just addresses them, but gives you actionable strategies in each of those episodes that you can implement immediately to get your business to the next level. To take that quiz, head on over to amberdelagarza.com/quiz. Again, that's amberdelagarza.com/quiz. And now, let's get to the straight talk. So, what is the distinction that I keep seeing as foundational to success? Well, here's what I discovered. The difference between business owners who achieve their goals while maintaining their well-being and those who sacrifice everything to chase their goals comes down to understanding true productivity. Because being productive isn't about being busy or just checking things off your task list. I define productivity as investing your best time into your best activities. Your best time is when you show up your best, energized, focused, and intentional. And your best activities are those that are aligned with your vision of success and your goals. But here's the problem. Most business owners think they're being productive when they're actually stuck in patterns that work against everything they're trying to build. There's a critical distinction that changes everything about how you approach your business and your life. So let me be really clear about something important before we dive deeper. Not all busy is created equal. Good busy is having a full, engaging life. It's being passionate about your work and having a calendar filled with things you've intentionally chosen. But here's another kind of busy, the busy that's toxic. It's that frantic, reactive, boundaryless, busy that leaves you exhausted and empty. The kind where you're so overwhelmed, you can't even remember why you started your business in the first place. Today, we're talking about helping you recognize the difference. Because when you can see it clearly, everything changes about how you approach building your business. So let me share with you the distinction between these two types of busy. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Good busy is true productivity. This is when you're investing your best time, when you're energized, focused, and intentional into your best activities, those that are aligned with your vision of success and goals. But toxic busy is false productivity. You're in that constant state of reaction, chaos, depleting your energy on activities that don't serve your bigger vision. Good busy feels intentional. You're choosing your commitments based on your priorities and your vision of success, not just saying yes to whatever lands in your inbox. You know why you're doing what you're doing, and it aligns with where you want to go. This is investing your best time into your best activities. On the other hand, toxic busy feels reactive. You're constantly responding to other people's urgencies, putting out fires, and feeling like you're always one step behind. You're saying yes to everything because you're afraid of missing out or disappointing someone. This is scattered time going to scattered activities. Good busy has boundaries. You have clear limits on your time and energy, and you protect them fiercely because you're clear on what serves your bigger vision. You're being strategic about when you show up your best. On the other hand, toxic busy feels frantic. There's this constant sense of urgency and panic, like everything is an emergency. You feel like you're running from one thing to the next without ever catching your breath. Your time is being hijacked by whatever screams the loudest. Good busy is energizing. Your activities fuel you rather than drain you. Even when you're tired, you feel satisfied and accomplished, not depleted. You feel like you're really, truly building something you believe in. This is your best time in action. But toxic busy is depleting. Your activities leave you exhausted and empty. You go to bed tired and wake up tired, wondering how you're going to survive another day like this. You're burning through your energy reserves without purpose and often without the actual results you're trying or striving to achieve. Good busy feels chosen. You're making deliberate decisions about how you spend your time. You might be busy, but you chose this busy because it serves your bigger goals. Toxic busy feels chaotic. There's no rhyme or reason to your commitments. You're busy, but you're not sure why or what it's all adding up to. You've lost sight of your vision in the chaos. Good busy means that you're in control. You're directing your schedule and your energy towards what matters most. You feel like you're the CEO of your time and you're strategically investing it into your best activities. Toxic busy means that you're scattered. You're pulled in multiple directions without focus. And you feel like your schedule is controlling you instead of you controlling it. Your time and energy are being wasted on activities that don't move the needle towards achieving your goals. Good busy feels fulfilling. Your busy feels meaningful and aligned with your values. Even when it's challenging, you know that it's worth it because it's moving you towards what you actually want. Toxic busy feels exhausting. Your busy leaves you burned out and resentful, wondering why you're working so hard for something that doesn't bring you any joy. This is what I mean when I'm talking about true productivity. It's not about doing more. It's about showing up your best for the right things. Now, I want to be really honest with you about my own journey with this. My natural tendency has always been to do all the things. I feel like that was my identity from a little girl, to push myself, to accomplish more. And don't get me wrong, I have had success and accomplished a lot. But I've also exhausted myself and still felt unfulfilled trying to juggle everything. I was living in that toxic, busy space. Now, at the time, I'm not sure that I actually correlated it with being productive or not productive. That wasn't yet part of my journey as the productivity specialist. But I did know that being busy was my identity. And I felt like it just needed to be a certain energy around it to be quote unquote successful. But the truth was, is I was living in that toxic, busy space. What I thought was actually moving me forward towards my goals and achieving success was actually sabotaging my ability to actually enjoy the success I was creating. Now, I had to put the work in to shift to good busy, and that's why a lot of the work that I do comes from a holistic place around productivity, time management, building our businesses, is honestly because of my own journey with this. My own journey to really uncovering what is true productivity. How can we bring more of that to our business and our lives? And how can we still rumble with our desire to want more and achieve more without burning ourselves out and sacrificing everything? Well, I put the work in. I started choosing quiet mornings over rushed ones, appreciating stillness over chaos, slowing down to let my body and mind rest instead of constantly needing to push forward. I did workouts that looked more like yoga instead of high-intensity training. I found hobbies that were less energy depleting, like tending to my mini houseplants. And in my business, I became ruthlessly selective with how I spent my time and energy. And what I should say is how I invested my time and energy. I set boundaries on how many private coaching clients I worked with. I said no to more and more opportunities and projects so that I could focus on the ones that would make the biggest impact. I reduced my work week to 4 days, then 3 days on most weeks. And I chose to keep a lean but impactful team. That was all done very intentionally. And here's what happened. Slowing down and doing less in my personal life actually recharged me, which enabled me to move faster in my business with more clarity, energy, and bandwidth. I still achieved my revenue and personal goals because I was investing my best time into my best activities, because it was good busy, not toxic busy. Less is not always more, but being intentional with your limited resource of time, energy, and mental bandwidth always affords you more freedom and more joy. And here's the thing, not everyone is going to really understand your journey. In fact, I think about how my extended family talks to me or relates to me, and a common phrase that I get a lot is, "You're always so busy." And for me, because I've done the work, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, they mean that as such a negative, right? Is like they're seeing my busy life as a reason to not reach out, or saying that that's why they think I don't have time for them. And my response for over a decade has been, yes, I live a busy, full life, but I always have time for what matters most. And I find myself reassuring extended family. And when I mean extended, I mean nobody in my immediate family feels this way because they are living it and experiencing it with me. But if you're kind of on the outside looking in, yes, I do have a busy life. But I can say that with a smile on my face and joy, that it's a very intentional, good, busy. whether I'm traveling or it's the next thing in my business that I'm doing, or I've got Eric's wrestling, or I got a new hobby, or I'm out with friends. I purposely choose the things that I'm investing my time, energy, and attention into. And it's still a very busy life, but it's good busy. And I've got to tell you, it feels and looks so differently than toxic busy. And here's the connection to your vision of success. When you operate from good busy, when you practice true productivity, you can actually enjoy the journey towards your goals. You can build something meaningful without sacrificing everything else that matters to you. You can achieve ambitious things while maintaining your health, your relationships, and your peace of mind. And here's what I want you to know. You can make this shift too. It doesn't require changing everything overnight. It starts with one intentional choice. Maybe it's setting one boundary around your work hours, like stopping the constant email checking after 5 p.m. Or maybe it's saying no to one energy-draining commitment, because what once served you may not be serving you now, and you can choose to make a different decision. Perhaps it's a recurring meeting that is no longer adding value, or that project that's completely outside of your zone of genius. The shift from toxic busy to good busy, from false productivity to true productivity, isn't about doing less. It's about choosing better. When you make that choice in alignment with your vision of success, everything changes. Now that you understand the distinction between good busy and toxic busy, the question becomes, how do you know which one you're operating from right now? Because here's what I've learned. It's not always as black and white as it may seem. Most people do not live completely in one camp or the other. I don't. Now, I strive to live in the good busy as often as possible. But what I'm getting ready to share with you is how I course correct and realign when I feel that I am dipping my toes or a foot or feet into toxic busy. I don't know that anyone is immune to toxic busy, but we can understand it. We can understand that we are leaning into that and choose differently at any time. You might be operating from good busy most of the time as well, but then life happens. You get hit with a busy season in your business, you're dealing with a family crisis, you're launching something new, you're going through a major transition, you're operating on autopilot perhaps, maybe because you're so tired and overwhelmed. During these times of stress, change, major deadlines, personal challenges, seasonal rushes, team transitions, technological problems, or when you're just running on empty, it's easy to slip into toxic busy patterns without realizing it. And that's exactly why recognizing the warning signs is so important. Because if you can catch yourself sliding into toxic busy, you can course correct before it ever becomes your new normal. So let me share some warning signs to watch out for. And I want you to really listen to these because I bet at least a few of them are going to hit home. Warning signs you're slipping into toxic busy. Your calendar is packed, but you're not making progress on what matters most. You feel busy all day, but can't pinpoint what you actually accomplished. You're constantly reacting to whatever seems most urgent instead of following your plan. You feel overwhelmed by your to-do list instead of energized by your priorities. You're saying, I don't have time, far more than you're saying, I'm choosing to focus on. You feel like you're always behind, no matter how much work you do. You're making decisions based on pressure rather than vision. You feel scattered across multiple priorities instead of focused on your best work. You're working harder, but not seeing the results. And you feel like your business is running you instead of you running your business. And here's where it gets personal. You feel guilty when you're not working, even during your designated rest times, i.e., the weekends, maybe after dinner in the evenings. You're skipping meals, workouts, and sleep because you, quote unquote, don't have the time. You find yourself snapping at family members or team members because you are stressed and overwhelmed. And here's the kicker. You're working longer hours, but feeling less productive. You're saying things like, I don't have time for that, about things that are actually important to you. You feel like you're always behind, no matter how much you accomplish. And you can't remember the last time you truly felt rested, restored, and recharged. If you're nodding along to several of these, you are not alone. Most of us have been there. Here's what to pay attention to. Notice when you start operating from that frantic, reactive place. Notice when boundaries start slipping. Notice when you stop making intentional choices and start just responding to whatever is loudest or most urgent. Now, if you have been living in toxic busy for so long, I want you to hear me. It may feel impossible to get to good busy. I'm here to tell you that is not true. In fact, I can tell you that I have helped many, many clients get from a place of, this is just how life is. This is just what it looks like to be a business owner, to not just understanding and knowing that it's possible to have a different experience of running their business and living their lives, but to actually live in good busy. These warning signs that I'm sharing with you are not a judgment. They're just information. And I want you to hear that from the bottom of my heart. If you find yourself living more in toxic busy or in toxic busy all the time, understanding just that there are two types of busy might be helpful enough for you to start observing and making different choices. Hearing me today might be your sign to hit pause, to reset, to get back to operating from a good busy instead of toxic busy. And I want to tell you that the goal is never perfection. The goal is awareness, because when you can see what's happening, you can make different choices. Now, here's the powerful part. Once you have this awareness, you can start making different choices, and they're going to be big choices and little choices. You can start building the business and life that you actually want. So let's bring this back to where we all started in episode 398 and your vision of success. When you understand the difference between good busy and toxic busy, you're not just learning productivity concepts, you're gaining the foundation for actually achieving what you want without sacrificing what matters most to you. Good busy allows you to work towards ambitious goals while maintaining your energy, your relationships, and your peace of mind. It's intentional, it's boundaried, and it's energizing because it's aligned with your bigger vision. Toxic busy might look productive on the outside or on the surface, but it's stealing your ability to enjoy the journey and sustain the success you're working so hard to create. The beautiful thing is that most of us live in a mix of both, which means you have the power to recognize when you're slipping into more toxic patterns and course correct before it becomes your new normal. But if you're listening to this and it has become your normal, I want to let you know, once again, I just want you to hear, it doesn't have to be your normal. And remember, this isn't about perfection, ever. I shared with you earlier that I have to be incredibly aware of what my own warning signs are and understanding what types of life events, business events tempt me into that toxic busy, so that I understand what my tripwires are and I could really be so much more cautious in those times to ensure that I am maintaining good busy. I want you to honor both your ambition and your well-being. I want you to choose something that helps you build something meaningful without burning yourself out in the process. Because at the end of the day, success isn't about what you've achieved. It's about who you get to be and how you get to feel while you're achieving it. I wish I could tell my younger self that it was never about getting to this superficial, artificial, made up finish line. Insert any goal that I've ever had in my life, but to really understand that it was always about the journey to each milestone and then to the next and to the next, and that we're just here living this journey. And if we're delaying enjoyment, peace, health, well-being until we hit these artificial milestones or finish lines, we are just delaying what I think personally life is about, which is enjoying the journey. Understanding the difference between good busy and toxic busy isn't just a productivity concept. It's the foundation for building the business and life you actually want. When you can recognize the warning signs and make intentional choices about how you show up each day, you create the possibility of achieving your biggest goals while maintaining what matters most to you. I have loved having you listen to this episode of the Small Business Straight Talk podcast, and I sure hope you have found this to be incredibly valuable. But I need to be straight with you. No change, no change. Without taking action, nothing changes for you or your business. So over the next week, I am asking you to pay attention to those warning signs that we've talked about. Notice when you start operating from that frantic, reactive place. Notice when boundaries start slipping. And when you catch yourself sliding into toxic, busy patterns, pause and ask yourself, what would good busy look like in this situation? Then make one intentional choice to course correct, because awareness plus action is where the real challenge happens. And if you've enjoyed today's episode, please share it far and wide with business owner friends who you think would find it valuable. Do you have a business friend who you think this message would resonate with? Text them the link. Let them know that you're thinking about them or that you're listening to this really awesome podcast and you think they would enjoy it too. That truly is the biggest gift that you can give to me as I am pouring into you through this podcast, is to share it so that I can make a bigger impact with more business owners. So that's my straight talk for today. Until next time, have a productive week.